All right, we're live, TJ.
Yo!
We're
Meow, meow,
back,
meow,
baby.
meow.
Pow, 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 pow.
Hi,
That
everybody.
your cat dance? I like that little pawing action.
I have
Is
to
this a
get my
new?
arms very, there
Do
we
the
go.
TJ. Pow, 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 pow.
Uh, it's the Dead Air Horror Review Show. Chris is back from vacation, and
Damn.
I'm back from the opposite of a vacation, which is every miserable day of my life as I get more and more miserable. So yeah, we're back. We watched a movie that I have been talking about on the show for I think months. I feel like
It's
have
come up,
teased
definitely
this
come up in
episode,
conversation a couple times.
and we've
Just
talked about it. We've talked about it on the show because I this is something that I have been very much looking forward to watching, and I thought that as a movie like I don't know. With this show, I feel like it'd be interesting to kind of gauge like stuff that as it comes out, when it becomes available to talk about on top of like the older stuff that we watch. But it is interesting to mix it up to like current stuff. At least I think so. And this movie is now available. It's a Shutter original. It's now available on Shutter as we speak. Um, and we're going to talk about Late Night with the Devil, a movie
mm,
that has definitely ignited horror talk and is very divisive. And I'm really interested to hear your thoughts because you and I, Chris, haven't talked about it at
at
all.
all. I have seen your
I
letterbox review, so
Yeah,
I know how you feel.
it's funny. I legitimately almost didn't post about it because I was like, this is gonna kind of undermine the integrity of the show, but I can't sometimes I have these burning thoughts that need to get out, and I had to do it. Because I will say, without burying the lead, this did elicit quite a reaction for me, a very emotional reaction. You
Really?
know, something I'd like to talk about briefly is, one of the things that you have to learn about in life, and it's one of those things that no matter how many times it happens, it still hurts just as much. It's disappointment, and when you really get charged up about something and then it lets you down. It doesn't matter if it's a partner, it's a movie, it's a dish that you've been trying to cook for a long time and you finally do it and then it sucks. Uh, you know, it's just disappointment is a tough pill to swallow. And this movie, and again, I think it's partially my own fault because it's something that I have been really looking forward to. The minute I saw the premise and the actor involved, I and the premise and the overall like aesthetic, I do love. Like, I think like the 70s is like fertile horror grounds, you know what I mean? So the idea of having like a throwbacky kind of horror movie in the 70s, I loved everything about it. I love the premise, I love the actors. I was very excited. And then yeah, not so much
It
once it
didn't
actually
hit
happened.
for you.
It did
And see
not.
that's really
It did
I
not
am
at all.
shocked by that just because, well, A, because of the actor. You know,
I
he's
love hold on.
hold on, let's
Do I still have the YouTube of how to say his fucking
cue up the
name? Hold on.
pronunciation.
Yeah, so before the show we were like, how do you say this guy's name? And now of
I'm
course I can't. Oh, here it is. Hold on. Pronunciation. There we go. Come on. Come on,
Let me just
Google.
ignorantly say I'm going to pronounce it David
All right.
Dastmalchian.
I got it.
Now, I don't know if that's correct.
That's, that's not it.
The hell was that?
Oh,
Now
fuck you.
you're just playing ads.
Dastmalchian.
There it is.
Dastmalchian. Yeah.
David Dastmalchian.
There you go.
Who
Uh
is actually saying that? David
I think it's
Dastmalchian
a
it
I think
himself?
it's a I think it's a computer or a mouse that just learned how to speak English. I don't know, one or the other. But yeah, I love David Dashmashian or however you say his name. Like, he's great. He's a guy that's been in like every fucking
Everything.
movie,
Yeah.
and he's wonderful. He got kind of his biggest shine before this in the Suicide Squad, the James Gunn one, and he's really good in that. I mean, he's good in everything. Like, he's just one of those guys that's like, I adore character actors, and
And
he's one of
who
these
thought
guys.
anyone you would hear anyone say somebody was good in Suicide Squad? You
No,
know what
no,
I mean?
not Suicide Squad. The James Gunn,
Oh,
the
oh,
Suicide Squad.
oh.
The second one. Yeah, yeah. No one is good in the original Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad is quite
The
good. The John Cena, Idris Alba vehicle, very good.
also in
But anyway,
Oppenheimer.
he's literally in everything. He's in
Yeah, he is in
Oppenheimer.
there.
He's in fucking Blade Runner 2049. He's in The Dark Knight. He's pretty much in every Denis Villeneuve movie. Like he's in Dune. He's
Hmm.
the Mentat. He's the Harkonnen Mentat in Dune. Whose name eludes me right now. But he's great, and it's cool to see a guy like that get a starring role. And for what it's worth, um, he's great in the movie.
Yeah,
My problems with this movie have nothing to do with his performance or the acting in general in the movie. I think the acting is actually really good across the board.
yeah.
Um, and I want to say too, like first impressions are going to tie into, I thought the marketing for this movie was very, very good. Especially like their like kind of viral marketing through like TikTok and stuff. I thought all of the edited clips and the way that they were kind of drawing you in. I thought they did a great job. This poster that Chris put up
Poster's
is
awesome.
wonderful.
Yeah, I would put this
It's
up in
fan.
my own house. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's a
There's,
great
it's
poster.
really, it's minimal, but it's
It's very
cool.
evocative,
Yeah,
and yeah, I thought that was great. What? How
that's
did you
that
feel?
scene
Like
didn't actually happen in the movie where his
no,
head burst
well, I
into
mean
flames, but it
it
didn't
kind of.
need to.
I mean,
Uh,
sort of in the end, it did.
yeah, not him in
Sort of,
particular.
sort of.
Spoiler alert. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I have no complaints with the acting. There was one character that annoyed me a little bit, but it.
Which one? The like fake Amazing Randy guy? That
Yes, the
guy?
amazing
Yeah.
Randy. I think his name was Carr, or the last name was Carr.
Something like that. But I mean, I didn't mind it because like those guys always kind of acted like that. He
Yeah,
did seem the most Tim and Eric-y of all the characters, though. Even
yeah,
the guy that was like the guy that spoke to the dead, even he wasn't as like over the top and silly
yeah.
as
I mean, it was
that guy.
supposed to be kitschy
Right.
and over the top and like a bit of overacting, like to make it extra silly. I think that was
Yeah.
the intent. At least that's how I felt. Like it was
Well,
supposed to
it
be.
was the intent. See that this is going to lead into problems I had in the movie. It makes sense when the cameras are rolling for them to be that way, but then
Mm.
when the cameras are off, they're still like I this movie has a hard time for me with kind of establishing a tone of what they want to do. Like I I'm going to wait a second until I get
You
into
want to
my
take a
main
beat
point.
before you drop your $20 word?
I do.
Okay.
Because we're still in our first impressions.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I thought overall the look of the movie was pretty good. I feel like they, it's a, it's a tough thing to do because like, they're trying to at times they're trying to make this look like a 70s TV show, and they do an okay job. It's still a little too clean, and I would have liked to seen more. Like I feel like there's not because the other confusing thing, and this is going to tie into the next point, is that the movie is framed as what we're watching as the audience is a documentary of what happened the night of this crazy television event. But it kind of like personally, I feel like there's not enough separation between what's supposed to be live on the air, the show, and then what isn't, and then why cameras are rolling. Again, we'll get into that, but I feel like visually, I feel like they didn't do enough separation for me. Like I think it really should. Like I mean, go back and watch old 70s TV shows on an or CRT TV. There is a very distinct look. And I feel like they kind of got there, but they kind of didn't. Like I don't know. I feel like they could have gone just another step further. I feel like dirtying up the shot a little bit, but that's just me.
Yeah, we had that
Anything else?
same issue with Incantation, remember? The
Yes,
found
yes,
footage. And it was
yes.
just a little too squeaky clean. And I
Yeah, and
remember we
also,
both.
well, that movie also has similar problems to this movie, where there are moments in Incantation where no one would be filming. There's no point. Like it, there is there is sections of that movie, and I think overall, the Incantation is a pretty good movie, but there are points in that movie where, like, why would you ever be filming? It doesn't make any sense. You're running for your life. Why would you just put the camera? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's a problem that a lot of found footage movies have, and I guess we can click the second
All
topic
right.
now.
He's
And my $20 word.
all right. Everyone, listen up. TJ's about to drop it. You ready, TJ?
That's right.
Here we
Yes.
go.
Verisimilitude. This is basically fancy film speak for shit that you buy in a movie, like as an audience, that seems realistic without breaking your immersion. Um, my biggest problem with this film is, again, it, in my opinion, unnecessarily frames this as a documentary in the beginning. Also, I don't know if they felt like the movie was too short or whatever, but like there is Michael Ironsides is the guy that's doing the voiceover in the beginning. I don't know if you caught that. I thought that was kind of cool.
Hmm.
Um, but they're framing this as a documentary, and then Michael Ironsides tells you literally everything you need to know about the movie. But to me, you could cut that out. First of all, cut that out, because everything that Michael Ironsides explains in the first 5 minutes, they show you later in the film. So you didn't need all that. You didn't need all that framing. And secondly, again, to make this movie a documentary, so like the thing we are watching is supposed to be like a produced documentary in, I don't know, in absentia or whatever. But the problem is that the movie like forgets that half the time. Like for example, the stuff you're showing now, like, it's a television show. Why are they rolling? And why is there a cameraman following the host and his producer backstage? Like, this is not
Yeah.
going to happen, especially in the 70s. Nobody did shit like that back then.
I
And
don't
it
think they
just
even slightly regard like no like take notice of the cameras following them around at
no,
any
no,
point
they
in the
don't. They
movie.
don't. And
Which
it's
you
like,
kind of, for me, I forgot it was even supposed to be a documentary.
oh,
But
it took me out of the movie like
really,
instantaneously. And then by the end of the movie, it's just gone. There's no even like there's not even the hint from the filmmakers of it still being a documentary anymore. It gets so ridiculous. And again, it's fine to be ridiculous, but I beg the question, why did you frame this like a documentary? Because you cut that first part out. You don't have the problem. I don't have any questions. If it's just a regular movie and it's just a fake fucking movie where they're just shooting stuff and stuff's weird, that's fine. But you decided to put this framing device in this movie and it doesn't work, and you give up on it in 20 minutes. Like, you don't even try. Like, we had difference of opinion on Lake Mungo, that found footage movie
yep,
that we watched. I really liked it, but I think both of us can agree that movie goes through tireless efforts to make sure that thing seems like an actual documentary,
yeah,
to a point where you almost didn't like it. I think that's why you didn't like it,
it
because
is.
it was so flat and so like a Netflix documentary. But you got to give that movie credit, because that movie never broke. That
Yeah,
movie was like, this is a fucking documentary you'd watch on Netflix. This movie is like, it's like they want their cake, they want to have their cake and eat it too, right? Like, they're like, oh, this is real scary footage or whatever, but then like they don't spend enough time to try to build that at all. And like you said, you forgot that that's even what it was supposed to be.
yeah.
And I mean, like, that's not a slight against you.
No,
It's again, it's
it's fine. It's just lazy viewing. I'm just like,
no,
but
it's a slight
I
it's
think
a
I
slight
also
against the filmmakers, dude. I just think like it's crazy to me, because it's an unforced error. Like, I don't understand why they did this. I don't understand the first 10 minutes of this movie explaining everything about the character. And then when it's revealed later on, there's no like, oh wow, like, oh, he was involved in some kind of weird Bohemian Grove cult or none of that. Like, think about it this way. Think about it this way, right? If you didn't have that shit in the beginning about his wife and then the cult and all that shit, wouldn't the end be a lot more interesting when you're like, all this stuff is being revealed and
yeah,
it's like, wow, this, like, but they tell you it all. Like, who thought this was a good idea?
right.
Anyway,
The Grove thing is a good example that you brought up of something that I thought was going to play more into the movie, like
no,
as in like an occult,
sure.
figure, but it really had no bearing on any of the rest of the film, except it was just, let's throw some more occult stuff in there,
Yeah, I mean,
just
I
for
guess
good measure, and
yeah, go ahead.
uh,
Sorry.
but I was going to speak to your earlier point without getting overly philosophical, because I'm not
No,
capable of doing
please.
that anyway.
Oh,
But
I
I think
disagree. I disagree completely.
I think when I was thinking about it as you were speaking, like it's very possible and probable actually that I ignored the fact that of this verisimilitude. Did I pronounce that
Mm,
properly?
you did. You did.
Thank you. um, I'm so proud of myself. I'm just gonna stop there. I'm like reading it. I'm reading it on the screen. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna butcher that
If it
verisimilitude.
makes you feel any better, the only reason I know what that word means is because of the movie Clerks. So there you go. So
Really?
yeah, remember in that
Kevin
movie,
Smith taught you
there's like
something?
there's in that movie he has like I think there's 3 title cards that break up the movie, and that's
Yeah.
one of them. And
Really?
verisimilitude is
Oh
one of
man.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, you've always had a good memory. Can't remember.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I also like. I mean, it's a. I mean, Kevin Smith got it because he's a film school nerd like I
yeah.
am. Like it is a film term. I mean,
Okay.
it's a real word you can use in fiction and stuff, but it's primarily used in film.
Well, I'm gonna drop it as soon as I get off this podcast and
Yeah.
impress all of the
You're gonna go
baseball
to your
dads at my
kids.
kids'
You're gonna go
baseball
to your
game.
kids and be like, "Yeah, this report. There's no
Yeah.
verisimilitude in this book report."
And then just walk away.
Mic drop.
As they're fumbling through their phones, Googling what verisimilitude is. Can't even spell it. But I think I just they'll be like, that guy's a fucking idiot. That's not even a real word.
What a dickhead.
Chris was always an asshole. He always shows up and drops like this big fancy word and walks away.
Yeah.
He can't even carry a conversation.
He and Biggins every conversation he is a part of. It's perfect. And you're like, I don't know why you guys are so mad. It's a perfectly cromulent word.
That's why you're my only friend.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goddamn right.
So I think the reason I possibly ignored the fact that, you know, it was jumping between documentary style and just a regular run-of-the-mill movie.
Just a regular movie, yeah.
Is because overall I enjoyed it. And it, to me, that portion of it, that I guess you could also call it continuity. I don't know
Yeah.
if you could always also.
I mean, it is continuity. It's the continuity of the film.
Certain things about continuity really irk me. Like if they cut from one scene to another and there's like a coffee cup missing in one scene,
Yeah,
and they
sure.
cut back and it's like there and it's half filled. You know, shit like that really bugs me. But for whatever reason, this did not bother me in the least.
Yeah.
And I was like,
it destroyed me. Like
it?
it really did. Like
Yeah.
well, again, it just for me personally, and again, like everybody looks stuff through different lenses, but it just it took me out of the fucking movie like
Hmm.
immediately. I was like, as soon as like they get into the show, right, and it opens, it's pretty strong. But as soon as like the very first scene where like the camera for some reason cuts to black and white, and the host is talking to his manager in the backstage. I'm like, they would never shoot this. There's no reason they would shoot this. And
Yeah.
like it doesn't look right either, like because they don't change the cameras. So like, okay, if you're gonna do this, you gotta do something more. You got to explain to me why they're shooting this crap and why that they would allow them to shoot this crap, especially when it's 1978 or whatever. Because like I feel like the behind the scenes documentary on a TV show is something that's pretty commonplace now, but like they didn't do that shit in the 70s. So like you
Yeah.
gotta give me a drop line, give me something that get like, hey, maybe the fucking, it's his, he's this rising star of the talk show host thing. Maybe the fucking paper is there and they're documenting it, or somebody, a third party, but they don't even do that because they don't. It's like they had this idea and they don't follow through. It's just
Yeah.
it's like a problem I have with a lot of movies where it's like I just feel like they needed another draft. They needed somebody to look at this a little critically. I mean, again, maybe not, but this kind of stuff like kills me. It
Well,
just pulls me out of the movie.
I'm looking through this with a more critical eye now as we're talking about it. And you had
Sure.
asked me before the show,
Oh,
before we
yeah.
went live, like what were my thoughts, in terms of production, because I used to work in television. And
Mhm.
I'm looking at, okay, documentary style. Typically, for a low budget, documentary, you're going to have one, maybe two cameras. Like, this is the way they're shooting this is like
Oh
a
yeah,
TV studio setup, and it's like a 3 camera shoot with zoom lenses, and it looks like a TV production. It does not appear to be a documentary style. And
right.
that I can see, like, looking back on it now, like watching this in real time, I'm like, okay, I could see what
Well,
um
and I
still didn't
also
personally like take me out of it, but I can see certainly what you mean about why. Well, the question is, why would they do that? Why would you make that initial choice of let's make it a documentary style? Because
right.
certainly
That's
wasn't necessary for this film.
and that's my point. Like it's an unforced error, right? Like there is
Yeah.
no need for that intro. There is absolutely you could honestly, if you cut that out of the movie, it's way better because again, it takes all the life out of the plot because it tells you everything you need to know. And I just don't understand. And I know like this is something that we've talked about 1,000 times on the show. You can't ever. It's unfair to kind of judge a movie that didn't get made. But to me, I feel like this movie is way more interesting if they were more committed to like wouldn't this movie to me I don't know, let me hear your thoughts on this. To me, this movie would be a lot better if it literally was the television broadcast.
Yeah.
Like you could have a framing device of like this is a lost tape or whatever, blah 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 blah, and but it's literally just the fucking TV show, and you can film like fake commercials and you know there's a friend of mine. He made a movie called the
I was gonna say
WNF.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, that movie is fucking brilliant,
Yeah.
and you know Chris
Because
did an
this
amazing job.
Chris
Um,
LaMartina, he spliced
yeah,
together a bunch of like different ads and news clips that
yeah,
were all
and
Halloween horror related, and is
yeah, and
brilliant.
that movie goes out of its way to keep the shtick up, right? Like it seems like a real life local television broadcast. And I couldn't help but think about his movie watching this because this movie, while still low budget, I'm sure had more money than Chris did to make his movie. And I just feel like this movie would have served, at least for me, if they did the same kind of treatment. Like if they and I think from the advertisements and the way that this movie was sold to me, I thought that's what this was going to be. I thought this was going to literally just be the TV show. And because honestly, if you think, in my opinion anyway, I think that the backstage stuff is really weak and not needed. And I think the movie works better if like all the shit that happens, like the guy that can talk to the dead, him dying off camera, like
Yeah.
that's more interesting if like you are watching a TV show and like these people are, you know, they go from being the happy-go-lucky TV people till they look more distraught and fucked up, and then maybe it does crescendo till the end when like you have the weird demon possession. But like I don't, the way that they framed the movie, I just have a lot of issue with. I think it just takes a lot of the meat off of the bone, so to speak. I don't know. That's just how I feel.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I appreciate your feelings, and I think you should feel how you feel.
And I do. I
I'm not
do
gonna
feel how I feel.
that's what this show is for, so we can get our feelings out. And
You know, we didn't use this as a topic, but you did talk about the practical effects. I will say that they did look really good. This sequence in particular looked great.
I like how they
I
stayed on the stomach for a while, so
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
really absorb what's going on with those. They probably worked very hard on the worms coming out of the stomach,
It looked
and
great. It
yeah,
looked really good. I
yeah,
actually liked the weird like head crack demon
yes.
explosion too at the end, even though that I'm sure that wasn't practical. That was some sort of computer magic.
And
But
some of it looked really corny and cheesy, like the electrical
oh,
pulses.
that looked terrible.
But
Why they decided to keep that in there, I was like,
but
ugh.
something did you ever wonder, like, it's so bad that multiple people must have seen this, and I'm guessing it was intentional. Maybe it wasn't.
Maybe it
Uh,
wasn't. I don't know. It's hard to say. Again, like my personal opinion of these filmmakers is that they don't pay much attention to what they're doing. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just left it in because they're like, fuck it, who cares?
yeah, and they're also
And
racing against the clock, and and
that
studios.
fucking who cares? That leads us to our next topic. Look at me.
Yeah.
Look at me fucking going through topics. Look at that. Look at that. Oh,
All right, here we go.
wow. All right. Oh, it's
Oh,
gone.
I was
Oh,
waiting for you to present it, but I'll.
sorry.
Yeah.
So
We're
yeah,
not. We're
so
not. Yeah. Go ahead.
a big talking point of this film was the use of AI images. There is two examples in this
I will
movie.
not be able to find that either. It
You could
happens so
probably
quickly,
it
which
happens.
is
It's what's interstitial? Is that the right word?
interstitial. Yep.
Yeah.
Look at
And
TJ with all his film and TV terms. Hey, have
it's
you did
you
some
know
studying, bro?
I
Proud of
watch a
you.
lot of movies, and I watch a lot of TV, and I watch a lot of movies. So they used two AI images for the interstitials for this movie, and I don't understand why they did it because it would have taken a fucking graphic designer 5 seconds to come up with this shit, and they came out and said, oh well, we were under a money crunch, and 2 years ago when we did it, it was a lot different. And I'm going to be flat out and tell you that I absolutely despise AI art and all this crap. Like, as an actual artist, like, I find it like offensive to my soul. However, the use in this movie is so dumb and like not needed that I don't really think it's like the end of the world. But I don't. It is
It's
a slippery slope for for studios to start doing this, and I think that's what people are responding to.
yeah,
But
and as
it
well
is
they should. Yeah,
yeah, it's incredibly stupid that they use these things. But again, to me, it goes to my larger point where I don't think these guys really give a shit about anything. I don't think they
yeah.
pay attention. I don't think they care. I think they literally were like, well, we'll just use these. Nobody will notice. Because, like, hey, we're going to make this a documentary and then forget about it. Nobody will notice. Like, they're not paying
Everyone
attention.
notices AI. That's the thing. You
Well,
can
now,
spot it from a
especially
mile away.
especially now, it's
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, yeah, it's bad. I mean, and again, like, I'm glad that we've gotten to a point where it shows up and people are shamed because they
yeah.
should be. Like, again, you have, I mean, who hire the person that designed this amazing poster in the middle. I'm sure that person could have came up with spooky 70s Halloween graphics in about 5 seconds. Like,
And I do graphic design as a
yeah,
full-time job. Doing 70s style graphics, especially what they used in this movie, is not labor
mhm.
intensive. I
No,
mean, we're talking maybe a day's worth of work, if that. Like
if that.
it's yeah. You have like multiple like pastel type shapes, swirly shapes. You had like that one had a skeleton, a poorly AI generated
A
skeleton.
skeleton with like three fingers, and yeah,
This is the kind of stuff like it's not it seems lazy. And
yeah.
I kind of straddle that fence on AI because I do use it regularly for certain tasks, not art, but for other
Well,
tasks. So
it's like cooked into Adobe now, isn't it? Like,
it
don't they
is.
have like
Yeah.
yeah,
Generative AI. And yeah, they're rolling heavy with it. And
yeah,
I've used it before. It kind of, for me, it takes away from the process, but
sure,
it certainly speeds things up very,
right.
very quickly. So if you have, listen, if a director was breathing down my neck and was like, a crap, I don't know, like you said, I don't even know why they needed this interstitial. It
Yeah,
wasn't even
yeah, you
necessary.
really didn't. Yeah, no.
They could have avoided this whole controversy by just cutting out. It's not even a scene. It's literally just a graphic that sits up there for what, 5 seconds maybe.
If 5 seconds, it is
Yeah,
so fast. It goes away. It's not even like they don't. It's not like it's something where you could cut it out and no one would notice it was gone because they don't. It's not like they reference it or anything. Like, they don't
right.
talk about it.
Yeah. um it was just a poor choice, and I think it was a major fumble, and hopefully they won't. Oops.
You're fine.
uh Hopefully, they recognize that that wasn't a good move, and
Yeah,
hopefully enough
I
other
think
directors
so.
or whoever else, producers, will be like, it's not worth it for the bad press, because people are really, really um divided over AI, and
Oh yeah.
especially creatives, they don't want to see that shit. So
No.
uh
And
just keep
again,
it
it's
out.
not like, I feel like the only real excuse for this, if you made this movie on like $0 budget, like they had a crew, they had a budget, like there's
Yeah.
no excuse for this. Like if this was some guy making a movie in his bedroom, I might be able to give it a pass. But like this is they actually had a production. So like what are you doing? You had to build that set, right? Like you had
Right.
to do and that's the thing that's kind of frustrating because I feel like the overall set design and the overall look of the movie again I had my issues with how they shot it and how they looked that way, but like the overall look of the movie is strong. Like I
Yeah.
felt like it was visually it was strong. So you're gonna muddy the waters with this AI junk. I just don't understand it.
Yeah. It was a poor choice. And I think, shame is a very powerful tool. And let's hope other people have learned from this mistake. Uh, I I've seen it on Instagram too, and I'm sure you have, and on
Oh,
YouTube, where like bands that I admire have started making music videos
it's
from
terrible.
AI artists.
Yeah.
And I mean, listen, it gets them a lot of views for their videos, but the amount of shame uh that they go through and explaining themselves, like, why did you we've like, and this is a really good argument where an artist would say, like a fan of a band would
Yeah.
say, I'm an artist and I've been a fan of yours for so long. I've been purchasing your music and this and that. Why would you pay, like, why wouldn't you pay back an artist
Right.
to do work for you?
Yeah, I mean, every like think about being in like the one that comes to mind came out a few months ago. Pestilence, they're like a death metal band, one of the like classic like death metal bands. So they put out this AI album cover, and it was fucking horrible. And it's like, I mean, people in general, like people that are really passionate about music. There's a lot of artists out there. Hire a fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like hire a fan or go back. Pestilence has this really great like hand-drawn like comic book cover to one of their more famous albums. It's got like this like bugs all over the sky. It's like, how do you look at that and then you fucking make this AI junk? And it's just
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I am violently opposed to AI. I hate it, and
Yeah.
every time I see it, I call it out. And I recently, I found this guy on Facebook, where he was doing AI art, but then he was trying to lie and say he wasn't doing AI
I
art by
saw
doing
that post. That was
fake
good. Yeah.
fake fucking like work in progress things, and it's like, hey dude, just do like a full work in progress, do a whole video.
Right.
Every Illustrator program has a time lapse, just do it.
Yep.
Oh, you have to pay me, then I'll do it. Like, yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to.
And this
They just want to
motherfucker
get their
this
bag.
motherfucker literally had like, he would sketch out the AI and then put one layer over it, and then he'd have fully rendered like around it. It's like, bro, nobody works like that. Like,
That
that's not
post
how
had me
shit works.
laughing out loud. It was
Oh, it
literally
was
like scribbles around his like finished artwork that looked like, it looked like
yeah,
how would you describe it, TJ?
Vargas.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
like Vargas like style pinup art, and
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it's obvious. Like it's not even like, and I'm glad that like the people like that don't have such a trained eye now even see like the hallmarks of the AI stuff because you
Because
can pick it out a
because
mile
it was
away.
clear, it was so obvious that he wasn't drawing anything. If anything, he was taking like an eraser tool and erasing like
Oh
the
yeah,
finished
that's all he was doing.
piece. So it looked like he was working on it, but it was so obviously not the case that he was
Yeah,
working on that. Like, yeah, no.
and it's just
Uh,
embarrassing. Like the only thing that's more embarrassing than those guys that are like, "Oh, I'm a prompter," and that's like a skill and art. Like, no, it is the people that know they're full of shit, and then they want to like lie about it and be like, "Oh, I'm actually a real artist." Like, no, you're not. I
All
don't know.
right, we've
Score
run out of
time.
time. Yep. So
Yeah,
let's go ahead and do the scores. DJ, you want to take the lead on this?
I will. It pains me to say it, but this is like a 2.5 for me.
Ouch.
Um, I really liked a lot of pieces of this movie, but I just wish it was done by more deft hands. Like I just don't like how this movie is arranged. It's weird to say this, but it's like a song that's not composed correctly. Like because the pieces are there. I think the premise is great. I think the script is not terrible. I think the acting is good. It's just the way that they decided to put all this together doesn't work. And it took me out of the movie so fucking hard. And it bums me out because I think it's more frustrating to have a movie that's like a couple of missteps away from being great than to have just a truly like terrible movie. Like I think it hurt to not like this movie. Again, I've been very much looking forward to this movie for a long time now, and it really let me down. And I think again, it's so easily fixed. I feel like if I was a little better at editing, I could make a better cut of this fucking movie. Like you just need to take things away and this movie is better.
Did I ever tell you when we first started this podcast, one of the first movies that we did was the Halloween trilogy?
Yes.
Kills and Ends.
Yeah, Kills and Ends, yeah.
And I had posted, I think, on Instagram about it, or maybe TikTok, and somebody reached out and was like, I actually made an edit of all 3 of the final films and made it better. And I was like, bullshit, show me. And
Yeah.
he did
Did
it.
you watch it?
I watched
Was it
it. It was good.
You watched the whole thing? Wow.
I watched the whole thing. He edited it together to make sense, and took
Wow.
out like the hospital scenes and all that crap. And
Good for
it was
him.
it was good. And of course, he can't distribute that anywhere. He's just sending it
right.
around to friends. But I was like, this is what it takes. This is what, like, a real fan who understands movies, understands plot and structure, like
Yeah.
somebody could fix this. This is easily fixable. In my opinion, this is easily fixable.
You could definitely.
And I even
fix
liked
this
it.
movie.
I liked it a lot. But it could still obviously use some help. And okay, I don't mean to step on you. You gave it a
No,
2
you're,
point
you're
what?
fine. 2.5.
I give it a
Which
7.
maybe is a little too low, but I don't know. Whatever. Who cares?
You can always come back and change it. It's fine. There's no rules.
Yeah.
I'm just not changing the graphic. Or if I do, I'll just do AI. Yeah.
For this episode, you should just have an AI generated thumbnail.
Oh yes, that would be brilliant. Pick that, director brothers.
We probably have had enough episodes where we could feed our voices into AI and could have
and just make
AI
episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, really, what are we talking about anyway? AI would probably do a
Right.
better job than we would.
That's probably true.
I say I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I really enjoyed it. Like we talked about, the verisimilitude didn't bother me so much. I think David Dastmalchian.
He's great.
He's great. I think I'm going to put this out there. I think he was kind of underutilized. He was the lead, but I think the potential for him to...
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I know we're in score territory, but I'm glad you brought that up. He felt undercooked as a character.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping, they hint. The implication is that he basically made a deal with the devil to get where he is, right? And I was kind of hoping that the movie would get more into that, or like he would have some kind of turn where like he knew what he was doing, but like he did, you know what I mean? Like he made this Faustian pact. And I just feel like they didn't really do that. They didn't really get into his character enough.
Yeah.
And I agree. I feel like he's kind of underserved in this movie. I agree.
He had like this face that you would see throughout the movie that was like the surprise, the shock face, I guess you would call it. Just like the I'll just do an impression.
It was the soy. It was literally the like shocked soy jack though.
Yeah.
It was the YouTube thumbnail.
Yeah. Oh.
Like.
Oh. Yeah. It was that was kind of a bummer because I was like, at the end of the movie, I actually wanted it to carry on. I thought it could have gone on longer actually, and I was like, oh, that's it.
Again, I feel like they kind of left a lot on the table.
Yeah.
And again, like they kind of handcuffed themselves by how they wanted to tell this story. But again, they decided this. And again, they don't follow that anyway. Like by the end of the movie, like I can't see how anyone can go, oh, it's still a documentary by the end of the movie, because like you're going off into his fucking dream sequences and all this other crap. And it's just like,
it would be
unfair. How is this?
Yeah, it would be unfair to call this documentary style. It's not even close.
Yeah, but they that's what that is. That's how they're telling you this, what they're saying about the movie.
Well, they're not allowed to. Not on this podcast. We're shutting that shit down.
Yeah, cut the first 10 minutes out of the movie, and it's going to increase my score immensely. If this is just a movie, then it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Like,
I again, I was fully entertained the whole time. I thought that I really enjoyed the practical effects, even though they were few and far between.
they were good.
They were,
They were good.
and yeah, I mean, I think I would probably recommend it uh to some friends. It felt quick to me. I don't know if it felt
It
quick to
was
you too.
yeah, no,
It was only like an hour and a half, but
it flew by. It
yeah,
flew by. But here again, like I think my crazy ass, in my vision of this movie, the movie is 45 minutes long because
yeah.
that's how long an hour-long TV show is.
Okay, so I wanted to bring this up because it just popped in my head. So I'm a
Or
big fan of
48 minutes,
TJ.
I think. I think 48 minutes. I don't know, Chris, you probably know the answer to that. How
What's
long is
that?
an actual how long is an hour-long TV show? It's like 48 minutes, right? It's not really an hour long.
Yeah, well, like a half-hour TV show is 21 mints, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, right.
insane to think of. Like 9 minutes of commercials, like
Yeah.
that just sucks. Um, so TJ posted something the other day, and if you don't follow TJ, here I'm gonna put up
Yeah,
our
follow us.
follows. So
Yes.
follow TJ at Art of El Topo and me at
Yes.
or both of us at Dead Air Horror Review.
Yeah.
Uh, you posted something the other day about, and
Uh-oh.
it cracked me up. Uh, Zack Snyder wants
Oh yeah.
fans to pay for this shit is hilarious. Wants fans to pay for a new cut of remind me of the movie
Sucker Punch?
Sucker Punch. Thank you.
Yeah.
And somebody responded, "How about you just make
Just make them
the movie right the first time? Like make it good the first time." And it's like I could totally see like this some like the director's coming back and be like, this is not how we intended this movie to be, but
I don't know,
we're
because
gonna do a director's cut, and
honestly,
yeah.
like maybe this is because this movie is still kind of new. I haven't seen a single person complain the way I complained about this movie. So maybe
Yeah,
I'm
people
just
are
out on an
raving
island.
about this movie.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I've seen people that say they didn't like it, but like I haven't seen anybody. I was kind of shocked, and maybe I'm out on an island here with this, but I'm sorry. You have to commit to your premise, and if you don't, it really takes me out of the thing. It really does, because to me, it's insulting as it's you're insulting the audience, right? Because it's just like we don't. That's such a big detail to flub that it's just like, well, why even do it? Like I don't know, but that's
Well,
just me. Do we know what we're gonna watch next week?
we don't. Do you want? Oh yes, we do. It's we were gonna actually watch it for
Oh,
this
Immaculate?
episode. Yes,
Immaculate. Okay.
Immaculate with Sydney Sweeney.
Yep.
So that's next week. I didn't
Sydney
pull up a
Sweeney
poster for
and her big old cans, her wet nun cans
it.
in
Oh
that
Jesus
movie.
Christ! I have no idea what he's talking about. Is it another nun movie?
Yeah,
I know
it's a nun movie.
absolutely zero about this movie except
Yeah,
that Sydney Sweeney.
it's about a nun that goes to a nunnery, and then she is pregnant, and that's where the whole immaculate thing comes from, and I won't
Yeah.
say anything else.
All
So
right. And you've heard good things?
I choose to not answer this question
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
to not incriminate
I
myself. I've already
won't
seen
put
it.
the cart in front of the
I
horse.
saw it in the theater. I
Oh,
saw
you
it a
did?
few weeks ago. Yeah, I saw it in the theater.
Look at you.
But
Still
I
going
still
to
think it's
theaters.
oh, I go to the theater like every weekend.
Do you go do you go to the
I
ones with
love the
like the
movies.
recliners?
Yeah, that's kind of the only ones you can go to these days. Well, actually, that's not true. I saw Eraserhead at the Charles on Thursday night. That was awesome.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That was super
You
cool.
said that was the first time you've ever seen it in theater?
I've never Eraserhead is probably my favorite movie, and I've never seen it in a theater. And it wasn't a print, but it was the new 4K Criterion transfer, so it looked real nice.
Nice.
And I don't really give a shit about like 4K transfers, but like when you blow it up on a big screen, that is when it's like that's when you get the benefit of having a 4K transfer. It looked awesome. So it was cool. It was a very cool experience. But the Charles, for those of you that don't know, that don't live in Baltimore, it is a very old style theater with the tiny, uncomfortable chairs and no assigned seating. So it's like I love that theater because I love they do a lot of repertory screenings, and they screen a lot of like foreign movies and stuff. But like I love it for that, but I hate it because I'm like, I want my nice reclining chair. I
Yeah.
like to stretch.
It's
my
hard to
legs
go
out.
back to
Oh, it
those old
sucks.
crappy chairs.
It sucks, and
Uh,
you're like this, like it's
but
like, oh yeah.
I will say the downside of the recliners, for me at least, there is a downside. I fall asleep 99% of the time.
Yeah, no, I don't
I
have a
am
problem.
too damn comfortable. They're too comfortable.
Oh,
Like
well,
sometimes I need like
I just shit my pants before the movie starts, and
oh, is that the
very
trick?
uncomfortable.
Clear the theater. You can
very
have it all to yourself.
well that, or I'm just generally uncomfortable like throughout my life, so it's always hard to sleep. So you know,
I got a video to send you. Into that,
what a
you'll love
segue.
it.
All right, so Immaculate next week,
Immaculate. All right.
and see you.
Yeah, follow us, everybody. Follow us
Yes,
on
like
YouTube.
and share, please.
Yep.
Comment, leave some comments. Call me an idiot because you didn't care about the documentary aspect of this film either, because I feel like I'm going to get a lot of that
Yeah.
because people really like this movie and
Yeah.
I really don't.
TJ's gonna retain his edgelord crown for this one.
I mean, it's not really edgelord.
You're
It's more of
edge.
me being a contrarian, but like, I'm sorry, I don't feel like I'm a contrarian at all. I just like what I like. It's fine. I mean, I don't fault anyone for liking anything. You like the movie, it's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's cool.
As soon as we turn the cameras off, TJ's gonna throw in his duster, pop a Zin, and go fuck with some kids.
I got some Zins
Kick.
out in the car. Yeah, I got some Zins out in the car. Yeah, I'm gonna get on and onto stake.com and bet my cryptocurrency. Yeah.
All right, everybody. That's
All
it.
right, bye guys.
Bye.